Okay, everybody, let's get into some more Unity stuff. And the first thing I want to do is click on this cube right here. And I want to make this our floor. So I'm going to go to the inspector and change the name to floor. And I want to make it bigger. So under the scale here, I'm going to change the X scale to 100 and the Z also to 100. So now we have a nice big floor. And then I'm going to click on one of these cubes here. And in the inspector, I'm going to rename that to wall. We're going to make a couple of walls here. And I want the wall to be just as big as the floor. So on the X-axis, I'm going to scale it to 100. And I want it to be a bit taller. So on the Z-axis, I'm going to make it 20. All right. And now, of course, I want this wall to be even with our floor. And the way we will do that is by vertex snapping. So hold in V on your keyboard, V for vertex, and you'll see the vertices of this object will become highlighted. So click and drag like that, and you see it snapped right to the floor. So now it's perfectly even with the floor. All right, so now we're going to make the other wall over here with this cube, and I'm going to grab it from the hierarchy right here. And if you click it again in the hierarchy, you can actually rename it this way as well. So I'm going to call it wall. And since this wall is going the other way, we're going to increase the Z of its scale to 100. And the Y will be 20, just like the other wall. And we will drag that over to this side of the room. And I'm going to vertex snap that to the other wall. All right, that way they are touching, they're completely even. And of course, we need two more walls. So let's go ahead and grab this wall here and press Control D on your keyboard, D for duplicate. And we're going to duplicate that wall and drag the new one over to this side. And then we will vertex snap it to the existing wall. And we're going to do the same thing with this wall. Control D, duplicate that wall, drag it to this side, and then hold in V on your keyboard to vertex snap it. And now we've got a nice even room with 4 walls, but they're all the same color. And I want to change that. So let's go down to our project tab down here, and in the art folder, there is a materials folder. We're going to go in there. And I've got a material here. I'm going to show you how to create a brand new one. Forget that one exists. We're going to delete it. I'm going to right click here. Okay, right click inside this folder. Go to create and go to material, new material. And sure, I'll call it blue. And whenever we create a material, it is a solid color by default. So go over here to the color picker. See right there? And we can choose blue. And I'll make it nice and bright. And now we've got a material, I can drag it onto objects in my scene. So if I want to make these walls blue, I just drag the object. Just drag the material right onto the object like that. One thing you might notice is sometimes the UI can actually kind of get in your way when you're trying to drag things onto objects. So just be mindful of that. It's not usually a problem, but like right there you can see the UI is blocking us. If it's blocking you, just go to the other side. All right, and I'm going to create another material, and we can actually duplicate materials too. So down here in the project tab, you can press Control D, and it duplicated the material. So we have another material. It's blue. I actually want to make it gray. So call it gray. And over here in the color wheel, I will desaturate the color all the way down and make it gray like that. And I'm going to use gray for the floor. All right, so we've got a floor and we've got walls. I'm going to create one more material, and I'm just going to make this one green. All right, and now I want to show you how to create new 3D objects for your scene. So go to Game Object up here, go to 3D Object, and we're going to make a new cube. And we can just leave it cube. We don't have to call it anything special, it's fine. but I do want to drag the cube into the level object in the hierarchy. See right there. So now the cube is a child of the level. So what that means is we can grab the level and we can move the whole thing all together. But for now, I'm going to take the cube. I'm going to increase the size of it a little bit. Let's make it 10 by 10 by 2. And I can vertex snap this one into the room so that it's nice and even with the floor. There we go. See? And I'm going to put the green material on that so it stands out. And what I'm going to do here is Control D, or actually before I Control D, let me show you one more thing. Over here we have the tag. I'm going to tag it as level. I'll get more into tags later, but for now, just make sure you tag your new cube as level, and even more importantly, make sure you set the layer to ground. The way our player works, he will only be able to jump on objects that are tagged, or layered rather, as ground. If they are not ground, the player will not be able to jump. One more thing I want to mention is if an object is not going to move, if it's just going to be stationary, set it to static. So our entire level right now is static. The level itself, when the game plays, it's not going to move. So it's okay, leave that all as static. So now I'm going to Control D, duplicate this little platform here, and I can just vertex snap it to the other one, and now I'm creating stairs. And then I'll play the game with the play button right here, and it should play. There we go. And you can see we can walk around the level, we can jump, and we can go ahead and jump on our stairs. See? So now you can create little platforms in this room, in this level, and I want you all to practice with that. Practice creating new game objects, new cubes, and practice vertex snapping them around the level, and just make a few platforms and play it out, test it out, see how that feels. Get comfortable with placing objects in your level. And then I will see you all in the next video. We'll get into some more advanced stuff, and yeah, that'll be all. I'll see you guys then.